Hello, Midnight Coders, and welcome to a new series, Spring into Java. So, today I'm going to be starting something new. This is a new series where we're going to take experienced Java developers and help you get comfortable, confident, and productive with Spring Boot built on top of the Spring Framework. So this series is not about teaching you Java from scratch. It's about showing you how Java is actually used in modern backend development. So if you already know Java, but every Spring project that you open feels a little overwhelming, annotations everywhere, folders that you've never created, and like magic that you're just expected to trust, this series is for you. By the end of this video, you'll have a real working Spring Boot project, a clean starting point, and a clear understanding of why we're choosing the tools that we choose. So, make sure you've got that full cup of coffee, and let's dive on in. So, we are going to start exactly where most Spring projects begin, at the start.spring.io. This site is the official Spring Initializer. Whether you use this site or the IntelliJ's built-in initializer, the end result is the same: a generated project following Spring Boot conventions. And if you prefer IntelliJ, then feel free to follow along there, as I will be using IntelliJ myself, but everything you see pretty much applies across the board. So let's create a new project. This is going to be down in the generators of type Spring. This is media stack. Get rid of that. This is the name of our project, is media stack. We're going to be using Java. We're going to be doing this as a Maven project. Everything else looks good. We want Java 25 as our language. And we want a jar type, a self-contained jar with an embedded server. And we're going to be using the properties. So let's go to the next section. And here we're choosing Spring 4.0.2, which is the latest version as of this video. So Media Stack itself is going to be designed to be a personal media tracker, and it's going to start with books and then grow over time to include games and movies. So let's dive into the dependencies we're going to need to make this happen. We are going to be starting out with Spring Web. This will give us REST controllers as well as Spring's REST client, which is the recommended HTTP client in Spring Boot. We are also going to be going into choose Spring Data JPA. This is going to handle our persistence so that we can focus on domain modeling rather than boilerplate SQL or SQL. Now, Spring Data JPA, or Java Persistence API, is an abstraction on top of JPA, which sits on top of Hibernate, that lets us work with our domain model instead of writing SQL or SQL for every interaction. It's going to handle entity mapping, common CRUD operations, query generation, transactional boundaries, and we're choosing it over raw JDBC because this series is about application design, not handwriting SQL and mapping the result sets. JDBC is absolutely valid, and you should definitely get to know it. But for most real-world Spring applications, Spring Data JPA is a seeming default. So back to our dependencies. We are going to also add in an H2 database. This is an in-memory database so that we can move fast locally without setting up any kind of local database. Now, the next thing that we're going to be introducing is validation, Spring validation. This will be the guardrails at the edge of our application where bad data may potentially enter. After this, we are actually going to add in one more from the developers tools, which is an optional. However, for this sake, I will be using it. This is Lombok, and I am going to choose it as it's going to reduce some of the boilerplate so that we can focus more on the structure and intent of our application. So now I do want to specify that there are a few specific dependencies that we are not adding right away, such as Spring Security. That's going to come in a later video when we want to be able to let friends and family create an account to have their own media lists. The actuator, because this is more for production monitoring and health, as well as we're not adding in any caching yet, which is going to be used for faster results and less database queries. Not because those aren't important, but because we don't just build, when we build a host, we don't just have everything delivered on day 0. We add what we need when we need it. So next, we're going to go ahead and create this project. First thing that you'll see is that there is one class created for us. This has our Spring Boot application annotation. This single annotation does a lot, such as component scanning and auto configuration. Now, component scanning is when a Spring Boot application starts. This is the process that Spring searches your code base for classes that it should manage as beans. Specifically, Spring will scan your entire package that this file sits in and all sub-packages of that. This is why it's near the root of the project. During that scan, Spring looks for stereotype annotations such as component, service, repository, controller or REST controller, and any other annotations that meta annotate at component. For every class it finds, Spring will initialize that class as well as manage its life cycle and wire in any dependencies between them automatically. That's why package structure matters. If a class isn't in the scanned package, Spring won't see it, won't create it, and won't inject it. Now, auto configuration is how Spring Boot configures your application for you based on the dependencies that are in your class path, as well as the environment, such as properties files, profiles, or runtime configurations. So when your application starts, Spring Boot will ask, given what's on the class path, what beans does this application need? For example, if we have Spring Web, then it's going to be configured a embedded web server and the MVC infrastructure. If Spring Data JPA is present, then configure an entity manager for transaction managing and repositories. If H2 is present, configure a default in-memory data source. And if validation is present, then enable bean validation automatically. And all of this happens without you writing any configuration code. And how this pairs with component scanning is component scanning finds your classes. Auto configuration provides the infrastructure that they depend on. So together, there would allow Spring Boot to go from an empty project to a running service in just seconds. This is the entry point of our application. So now, let's go ahead and run this application. There's no controllers, there's no databases, there's no features. It's just an entry point. And as you see, that managed to start up very quickly. And we are off to the races. So now we've made sure that our foundation is solid. What's next? So in the next video, we're not touching controllers and APIs yet. We are going to slow down and design the media stack. Because good Spring Boot projects are designed first, not just hacked together off the cuff. So today, we created a Spring Boot project the right way. We chose dependencies intentionally. We avoided unnecessary complexity. And we set up the foundation for the media stack. So if Spring has ever felt overwhelming, this is how you take control of it. So if you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching. Hope you've learned something. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. And if you would like to learn more, remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a future video. If you happen to know a friend that may find this useful, remember to share it, as it helps us reach more developers. And as always, keep your curiosity open, your skills sharp, and that coffee cup full. I'll catch you in the next one.